Hey, what's up, garden friends? Jeff here, Tropical Plant Party. How y'all doing? I hope you're good. I am great. Have to do a bit of an impromptu repotting. I say impromptu because, well, I wasn't planning on doing it, obviously. This is the Thai constellation Monstera Deliciosa, and she is old. I've had this plant for a very, very long time. I need to repot this though. The pot it was in broke, so I was planning on repotting it this spring anyways, but I have to do it now. You see, it did just pop open a new leaf, which is kind of dull and sort of sad looking. That's why I decided I really can't wait to repot this. I need to go ahead and do this now. I'm not doing anything crazy fancy with it. What I do with this Monstera during the spring and summertime when I have my plants outside, I actually have this sitting in, I don't know how to describe it. I think it's an umbrella holder, but it looks like a log. And so I have a pot that'll fit in the top of that. That's what I've always done. And so I'm just going to switch over to a different pot. It's not the most pretty pot, but you can't see it when it's in that log. I like to do it that way because it has such amazing roots. Like, I mean, these roots just, they go on for days. And it can drape down by being up high in that planter. So that doesn't matter. I'm just going to go ahead and get right into the repotting. All right, so for starters, I've got a bucket here, to which I'm going to add some all-purpose potting soil. I'm going to be using a pretty hefty amount, actually. Fill this up. I'm not using anything crazy special. I think I may need a larger bucket. Put some gloves on because I have another video I want to do after this. I don't feel like cleaning dirt out underneath my nails. Now, for plants like the Monstera, I like to use a soil mix that, one, doesn't really hold its shape because it needs to be very airy. Maybe even a little bit gritty. It needs to be organically rich. I'm not using a cactus blend just because the cactus blend that's most available around here commercially, I've noticed holds on to a lot of moisture more than I would like to be dealing with. I really have found that I think really just the regular potting mix amended with some things, that usually works better for me. So to start off that amending process, this is just an orchid bark blend, has regular bark in it, has some charcoal and coarse perlite. This is actually pretty perfect for what I'm doing because I typically would add some charcoal, some sand, some perlite, and then the orchid bark to the blend, and this has all of it in there. Unfortunately, I would really probably prefer to have some smaller perlite in here, but I can't get to the nurseries right now because there's snow on the ground and the roads aren't so great. So I'm going to go ahead and blend this in. I think I want to add a little bit of sand to this also. I think a fine sand is going to help this drain a little bit better. Oh, and then Espoma Biotone. Great stuff. Doesn't need a lot. I'm not measuring it out. I'm just putting a little bit in there. So like I said, these like a really organic soil, and that Espoma Biotone really helps bring things to life down around the roots of the plants. So I'm gonna go ahead and blend this up. I may actually grab another bucket and kind of pour it back and forth and then get potting. All right, so now that that's all done, I'm gonna go ahead and pot this up. There are lots and lots of holes in the bottom of this pot. I've lined the bottom with some Hydrostone. I like the Hydrostone a lot. I don't always put like a drainage material in the bottom of my pots, but with the Monstera, I really want to make sure that there's just at least a small layer of something in there in pots that have these little divots in them. You see how it has these divots right here, meaning like there's a high area and a low area. The water should drain out of there, but it could pool a little bit. So I just want a little something there, just to help out, just to be safe. And everything from here on is pretty obvious. Just gonna add some soil, put the plant in, add some more soil, you know the procedure. And go ahead and lower that root ball in there, trying to keep the aerial roots out. Get it lined up properly. Hopefully everything's staying in focus because my hands are kind of dirty and I don't want to touch my camera. I think that this could actually, I should probably put a little bit more soil in here. You can say that the soil line should be right around in here where these roots are. And I think that this is probably pretty good. That should be all right where it is. I've been moving around my mic a lot, so sorry if the audio is pretty wonky. Keep getting that soil in there. Spread it around, give the plants little tilts. That way I can help work out any air pockets. Using my fingers to poke around, get the soil into all of the gaps. And I know it probably looks like I could have taken the soil all the way up to around here, but this is about where it was, so that's where I want to stay. Oh, and I forgot to show kind of the consistency I got with the soil here. See how it just falls apart? There's a lot of sand in there, decent amount of perlite. I found a little bit of perlite and added that in there. I could have gone a little bit heavier on the orchid bark probably, but it's all I had, and really, I mean, look at the way that that's coming apart. I think that that should work out okay. Okay, and lastly, I have this, wow, okay, I adult puberty with the cracking voice. I have this tray here, and this tray roughly right around this line here. I'm gonna take my scissors and poke a little hole very carefully. Nothing fancy. I know, not very pretty, but it'll do the job. And then to that tray, I'm adding some more hydrostone. You can see here, I want to make sure that that hydrostone is just right about above where I poke that hole. And that's because I'm going to be setting this on top of there. Go ahead and water this in very, very, very heavily. You can see here that that drainage is nice and sharp. The water is moving through it very quickly. And that's exactly what I wanted to see here. You see that tray filling up and the water's coming out of that overflow hole. So that's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. The entire reason for doing this, for putting that hole there, was so that this pot can sit just above where the water will sit in these hydrostones. Don't want it to actually be in direct contact because then it'll keep wicking up water and things will be too soggy around the actual roots of the plant. But by having that hole there, it provides a fail-safe. And then I don't have to worry about as much when I'm watering. I can water it heavily, let that water rush through, come down here, fill this reservoir back up, and any excess will just flow right out. Monstera's roots are fantastic for seeking out moisture. The roots on this guy, the thing that I put it in every year, the big log I was talking about, that sits right above a little fountain I set up for my dogs to drink out of. Just about every single summer, it sends out roots all the way down the side of that log, across the ground and over to that fountain that the dogs drink out of. End up having to clean out roots from the pump. You can see the roots here. This is all dried up because it's no longer in water. This is the part of that root of this aerial that found the water. Look at what a difference there is between the aerial root and the part that was actually submerged in the water. And it was flowing water, so it was fine for the plant. I just think it's so cool how well plants adapt to their environment, how well they're built to just be awesome. Okay, now I'm not staking this. I know that probably sounds kind of odd. I have a wooden stake over here that I was going to use. Problem is, in the past when I've used wooden stakes with this guy, it grabs on really fast, which is great. That's what it's supposed to do. The problem though is years ago I had it grab onto a stake and then it covered it in roots. Good. Like I said, that's what it's supposed to do. The problem was eventually that stake started to rot away and it was really, really hard getting it out. I had to cut off a lot of roots and everything. So for now, I'm just going to let it lean until the roads are better and I can get out, and I'll get a piece of PVC and I'll sink some PVC in here. That'll help provide some stability to the entire plant. I wish I could get the entire thing into frame, but I really can't. Sorry, here, let's look at the foliage a little bit more. But yeah, I'll put it on a stake. I'll put a piece of PVC in there. I'll wrap some coconut liner around there with some clear string or something. It can grab onto that, and then when it's time to repot it again, I can just use a blade and cut all that off much more easily. Won't have to worry about the wood rotting and everything along the stem. And likewise, for the time being, just to prevent damaging any of these roots, I'm going to go ahead and I think I'm just going to wrap them around the base of the plant. There we go. That way they're not like running over and dangling onto the ground where they're going to get stepped on. The new roots these guys put out are so cool. They have a neat pattern to them. They're smooth and shiny. I love them. I am thinking I'm going to do a propagation with this guy, but that's going to have to wait until the weather's nicer and I can go ahead and take him outside. I just think it would do better that way. Well, I don't know. Things are pretty toasty and humid in here, so it might do okay in here. But I'll be doing it down here. I'm probably going to do a sectional rooting where you take a little piece of flesh out basically, and then pack that with some rooting hormone, some sphagnum, wrap it up, keep it damp, and then encourage some roots to come out in there, and then you can cut the entire leaf off and pot it up. It's just the safer way to do it with these guys. These monsteras are not the hardest things to root, which I am avoiding ranting right now because I went online just to like do a little bit of research to make sure that I had my potting mix right and whatnot. I don't want to have to redo this again anytime soon. And I stumbled across these guys on eBay, like $100 for a cutting. Some of them aren't even rooted. Like what the hell is wrong with y'all? I got this guy. It was I think it was $44.99 off of eBay. Granted, it was like 8 years ago, maybe, but still, spending $100 for a leaf. Now, I get it. I have spent plenty of money on plants before, but I just feel like it's really taking advantage of people. That being said, I'm gonna go ahead, get this leaf rooted up, and then I'll put it up on eBay for $1,000. How's that sound? Just kidding. I'll actually probably do a giveaway, because by the time this is like rooted out to the extent where I would have it potted up and like actually be comfortable giving it away to somebody, I'm hoping I'll be around the 10,000 sub mark, and that would be a good time to do that. And it will have flushed out a few more leaves by then too. I don't want to take any leaves off this guy because it only has the 3 right now. It lost a couple during that unexpected frost that we had back in the fall. So really every bit of chlorophyll on this guy is very valuable. Oh, and back to why I did this down here. The whole point when I was talking about how their roots seek out moisture and the tip ends up in my dog's water fountain every year is that I want to have a kind of a reservoir underneath here. By having this tray down here where there's some water down there, but it's not actually in contact with things, I am hopeful that that's going to encourage, sort of speed up the process of the roots kind of going, oh yay, fresh potting soil, and work their way down in here. Because like I said, they'll find that moisture. If they sense, you know, things are more moist down here, that's where they're going to go. Sorry if you don't like the word moist, but also why? That's fine. You can dislike whatever you want to. But not this video. Give it a thumbs up, please. I'll do some more follow-ups on this guy. I think that this potting medium and everything should work out pretty well. It's organically rich. Putting that Espoma biotone down in there helps a lot. That's going to help kind of speed up the process of getting things broken down, getting good bacteria and fungi growing around the roots that encourages the release of nitrogen and new root growth and all the fun, good fauna and flora and stuff that needs to go on down there. The first couple days here, I'm going to be keeping a close eye on this. If this is still wet in, I would say 3 days, then I'm going to do some more amending. But I highly doubt that that's going to be the case. Or another option is to take a drill, pop holes in the side of the pot to help speed the process up, but I would really rather the soil just be fully appropriate. This soil blend is pretty much what I've done with most of my tropicals that like a really rich soil, a soil that drains quickly, holds on to some moisture but doesn't stay soggy, and has the nice organics in it. That bark will over time break down, and which is another reason you need to make sure that this gets repotted every 2 years, because eventually as that bark breaks down, it will compact things. When soil over time, it breaks down a lot, it'll compact and become almost like mud or clay. Then it doesn't drain as freely. But that should be, I would say, probably 1.5 to 2 years away, so I don't really need to worry about that right now. I do want to get it onto a pole though, just to give it some more stability. The more stable that stem is right there, then the better that's going to be for the root system. And of course, just the overall health of the plant. In order to actually show you the plant pulling this guy down, just like that. So, sorry there aren't some better angles. I can stand back here, but I got my fans going since it's 86 degrees in here today. It's like 20 something outside, but it's nice and toasty in here. I guess there's kind of a better look at the foliage. And no, it's not like the most beautiful, like the Instagram-y kind of Monstera you see, but it's mine. I've had her for a long time. We're pretty close. I love her. I hope everybody's doing well. Like I mentioned before, if you could like the video, that would be fantastic. I hate asking for likes, but it's like the way of YouTube nowadays. Comment down below. Let me know some of your favorite things with the Monsteras. Do you have any Monsteras? What are some fun techniques you have when you repot them? Those of you who live places where you can grow them outside, you do anything really cool with those? Like my lighting? Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do. Let's see, I have this light over here, but sometimes it just doesn't cut it. Technically, I have 3 of those other lights. I just need to like setting the other ones up. Because sometimes we just need to have fun with the plants. Oh, or you can hit me up on Instagram at Tropical Plant Party. Follow me and I'll follow you back. I have a lot of fun looking at each other's pictures and nerding out with everybody. And subscribe as well. Upload multiple times a week, so don't forget to hit the notification bell. That way you know when new videos come out. And I will be sure to post updates and things on Instagram. And maybe I'll do a follow-up video when I do the propagation with the leaf. I'll let you know. I'll probably do a video on it. All right. I hope everybody's doing well. Keep on growing. Bye-bye.